Some memories come back at the strangest moments. You might be making coffee, walking to your car, scrolling your phone, or doing something completely ordinary, and suddenly your brain drops a memory into your awareness. A moment from childhood, a sentence someone said years ago, a place you haven't thought about in decades, or something small and irrelevant that has no obvious connection to what you're doing. It feels random. But the brain rarely does anything without a reason. There is a scientific explanation for why your mind resurfaces certain memories at unexpected times, and it has nothing to do with regret, trauma, or emotional unfinished business. It's mostly about how memory is stored, how it's updated, and how the brain keeps itself efficient. To understand why memories resurface, you first have to understand how they're organized. Memory isn't a single folder. It's more like a giant web of connections, a network that constantly rearranges itself. Every memory sits inside that network, linked to sensory cues, emotions, locations, concepts, and other memories. You don't store events like files, you store patterns. And throughout the day, your brain is always trying to match the present moment to something it has seen before. Not consciously, but as part of how it predicts what might happen next. When the brain detects a tiny piece of similarity between your current situation and something from the past, a sound, a lighting condition, a rhythm of movement, even a facial expression, it sometimes pulls up that old memory as part of its prediction process. It does this automatically, without your involvement. This is why random memories often appear when you're doing repetitive or simple tasks. When you're not using your full cognitive resources, your brain has more space to run these background operations. It starts reorganizing old information, strengthening certain connections, weakening others, and updating the memory network. And sometimes that updating process pushes a memory into awareness. Another piece of the puzzle is something researchers call spontaneous activation. Your brain is electrically active even during quiet moments, and certain neural pathways fire together simply because they've fired together before. It's like a tiny spark runs through the network, and whichever memory is tied to that pattern rises to the surface. This doesn't mean the memory is important. It just means it was nearby in the network that got activated. Many resurfacing memories also show up when the brain is trying to clean things up behind the scenes. Just like your computer occasionally reorganizes files or updates indexes, your brain periodically reevaluates old information. It checks whether certain memories are still relevant, whether the emotional tagging is accurate, or whether the memory should be stored more efficiently. When the brain performs this internal maintenance, fragments of old experiences sometimes drift upward. This is why you might remember something pointless or neutral, like a hallway from your childhood home, or a moment from a conversation that had no emotional weight at the time. The brain is not trying to tell you something. It's simply reorganizing. Another scientific factor behind memory reactivation involves context reassembly. Your brain is constantly using the past to understand the present. When it encounters a piece of sensory input it recognizes, a smell, a tone of voice, a posture, even the angle of light through a window, it tries to match it to something stored in memory. If the match is close enough, the old memory becomes momentarily active, even if you didn't intend to think about it. This is why certain memories feel like they jump into your mind. The trigger wasn't obvious. It might have been the tempo of your footsteps, the way your jacket moved, or a sound in the background you didn't consciously register. Your brain is incredibly sensitive to patterns you don't notice. And when it finds a match, it replays the related memory, not as a message, but as part of its prediction model. Random memories also appear when your brain senses a drop in external input. Quiet moments, showers, walks, late night hours, give your brain free space. And when the brain has free space, it begins a process called memory consolidation, where it reviews old information and updates neural pathways. This review sometimes brings older memories into awareness, not because they're unresolved, but because the brain is refreshing the network. It's the same reason dreams can be so bizarre. That's your memory system mixing, shuffling, and updating information while you sleep. During the day, when you're calm or doing something repetitive, a lighter version of that same process takes place. And one of the byproducts of that process is the resurfacing of old memories. There's also the matter of efficiency. Your brain wants to keep the memory network organized, so it occasionally checks certain memories to decide whether they still need to be stored strongly or whether they can fade. This check-in can push them into consciousness for a moment before the brain files them away again. It's maintenance, not meaning. The truth is that most spontaneous memories are simply echoes of the brain's constant housekeeping. They can feel significant because they appear suddenly, but the mechanism behind them is quiet, neutral, and mechanical. Your mind is not trying to warn you, remind you, or send a message. It's simply doing what it always does: updating, predicting, reorganizing, and keeping the memory system efficient. And when you're finally lying in bed at night, when your day slows down and your thoughts quiet, the brain often continues this internal indexing. That's why old memories sometimes visit you just before sleep. Your mind isn't drifting into emotion. It's drifting into maintenance mode. Random memories are simply the brain being the brain, a system that's always refining itself, always adjusting its connections, always keeping your internal network clear and efficient. Nothing more mysterious than that. Thanks for listening.